It's Masters Week, people, hence by the golf ball that I'm holding. Most of you probably don't know what that is or have very little interest in, and that's okay. But I'm just excited that I can finally talk about the first of four golf major tournaments here. If you're new, my name is Annabelle, and this is the Ace for Waves podcast. And on the podcast, we talk about sports, sports media, and a new segment that I will be introducing soon. It's called A Plus Advice, where you get life advice from me on just life skills that you should know and learn and how to be better at them. But I want you guys to be able to kind of relate with me a little bit more instead of just hearing me talk about sports, even though that is something I do love to do. I want to get a little bit more relatable and personal up front. But enough about that. Let's talk about the Masters tournament that is going to be happening. Today's Monday, so only 3 more days left, which is insane. If you don't know what the Masters is, it is a golf tournament that takes place in Augusta, Georgia, every year in the month of April. Golfers from the PGA Tour have to qualify for this tournament every year if they have not won the Masters before. If you win, you get an exemption from the tournament and you don't have to try to qualify every year. That's if you win. And as mentioned earlier, it is the first of the four golf major tournaments. We have the Masters in April, the PGA Championship, which is in May. Then we go to the US Open in June, and we conclude with the prestigious Open Tournament Championship in July. I'm not going to give you guys an entire crash course of the Masters because A, that would take way too long, and B, it would probably be way too boring. But I do want to highlight a couple of things on today's episode. I'll give you all just a very brief history lesson of the Masters, and I'm talking very brief. Well, what's at stake for some of the golfers, and my very unbiased predictions. I'm laughing because I feel like it's probably not going to be unbiased, but I'm going to try to stick and be as unbiased as I possibly can. And I also feel the need to say this right now. My favorite golfer is Rory McIlroy because I just know that his name is going to be brought up on this episode, and I want to put out my claim and my thing that he is my favorite golfer. So just try to keep that in mind as I talk about this, please. But we'll start off here first with my very brief history lesson. The Masters tournament has been around since 1934. It lasts over 44 days with 72 holes to play. And if you're watching, well, actually, if you're listening on Spotify, you can see this. But if you're watching on YouTube, I am just glancing down at my notes every once in a while. It is the smallest field in the major championship golf, with the opportunity to compete for the coveted green jacket and a chance at history. The first tournament was held on March 22nd, 1934, and beginning in 1940, the Masters was scheduled each year during the first full week of April. The founders of the tournament are Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts, and you can read about them on the Masters website page if you are interested in learning more about them. Let's go to some past champions. There have been a lot of winners here, and I'm not going to name every single one for the sake of time, and because I would have to date all the way back to 1934 to do so. And we're in 2024, so that's 90 years and 90 champions. So yeah, we're just going to name some of the past champions starting in the year 2010. These names include Phil Mickelson, Charles Schwartz, Bubba Watson, Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth, Danny Willett, Sergio Garcia, Patrick Reed, Dustin Johnson, Hideki Matsuyama, Scotty Scheffler, and the most recent champion from last year, Jon Rahm. Fun fact, actually, Phil and Bubba are the only two left-handed golfers from that group to win. The holes, each hole at the Masters has a unique name. The first hole is named Tee Olive, second hole, pink dogwood, the third hole, flowering peach, fourth hole, flowering crabapple, fifth hole, magnolia, sixth hole, juniper, seventh hole, pampas, eighth hole, yellow jasmine, ninth hole, Carolina cherry, 10th hole, camellia, 11th hole, white dogwood, 12th hole, golden bell, 13th hole, azalea, 14th hole, Chinese fir, 15th hole, firethorn, the 16th hole, redbud, 17th hole, nandina, and the 18th hole is named holly. And again, you can kind of read more about each hole on the Masters webpage. And now that you've gotten your very brief history lesson, let's move on to what's at stake for the 2024 Masters. And to do this, I'm just going to name 3 golfers who fit into my subcategories of this segment. Most likely to win, the most to prove, and who needs to win now, who is in dire mode. So let's start with most likely to win. If you watch golf on a regular basis, or even just briefly, I think it goes without saying that the golfer most likely to win at this point in time right now is Scottie Scheffler. Scottie has been on a hot streak as of late. He won 2 tournaments last month and is placing himself within the top 10 of the leaderboard at most tournaments he's competed in. Scottie won here in 2022. And if he continues to go on this hot streak and make very minimal mistakes, there's a chance that we are looking at a 2-time winner in 3 years. He's also one of the better golfers in the playing field who has a stroke advantage off of the tee. I highly recommend just watching Scottie for fun. He is very consistent and, placing himself within the top 10 at most tournaments that he's competed in shows that he's not only a great golfer, but he knows his game and he knows his game well. I did see an article published that Scottie is not changing much when it comes to Augusta, and that other golfers should be afraid of him because he's not changing anything. And I think that's fair. Scottie is definitely a golfer who I think most people recognize by now. He did reach his stardom by winning the 2022 Masters. He was great last tour season. This tour season, he looks to be in even better shape and form. So watch out and be on the lookout for the name Scottie Scheffler. The most to prove. A golfer who has the most to prove, I think, is a LIV golfer. If you don't know, the Masters, actually all 4 major tournaments is where the PGA players tour and the LIV tour players come together to compete in. For PGA tour events and tournaments specifically, LIV golfers are not allowed to come. And the same goes for LIV tournaments. PGA players can't go play on LIV's tournaments. But for the 4 major tournaments, all these players come together and they get an equal shot and an opportunity to play in. But for my most likely to prove, I'm going with Brooks Koepka. Brooks has not won a Masters yet, but he was the only LIV golfer to have won a major championship last year at the PGA Championship. And I say he was the only golfer. Jon Rahm did win last year's Masters, but he was a PGA Tour player then. He made the switch to LIV in November or December, I believe. I want to say it was November. So Brooks was the only golfer who went to LIV when it first started and has still stayed there to have won a major championship last year. But now I guess we can kind of add Jon Rahm to that mix too, even though he switched from PGA to LIV. So there is just a little disclaimer right there. But Brooks was also on Team USA's Ryder Cup team in 2023, and he didn't really perform nearly to the best of his abilities. But a lot of eyes are going to be on PGA Tour players this tournament. But if Brooks comes out here and wins in the playing field combined with great players, I think he proves to a lot of people that he can win major tournaments especially in back-to-back years. Again, he did win the PGA Championship in May, so if he comes out here to Augusta and wins a Masters, he'll have two major wins in 2 years, which not a lot of people can say that they have accomplished. So I think Brooks can prove a lot to people, especially from some of the heat and bad fire that has came with moving from the PGA Tour to Live Golf. So the who needs to win and who needs to win now, who is in dire mode. And I almost don't know if this is up for debate. I can think of 3 other golfers who might fit this category. And for my golf fans, you can also probably think of 3 golfers who would fit into this realm. But there's absolutely one golfer who needs to win and who needs that win now. And that, my friends, is Rory McIlroy. This will be Rory's 16th attempt at Augusta National Golf Club, where he has not won at all. In fact, he is one of the more well-known veteran golfers who has yet to win here at Augusta. Rory has won majors. He's won the US Open, he's won the Open, he's won the PGA Championship, but the Masters is the only major that he has left to win. If you follow golf media, Rory's last major win was a decade ago in 2014. He has had quite a roller coaster the past 3 years with all the drama surrounding the PGA and Live Golf, but this is his opportunity to go out and compete without having the stress and all the pressure on him. He is reaching his mid-30s as well. Rory will be 35 this year, and there are some promising young players out there. If McIlroy wins, he will complete his quest at the Grand Slam title, which is when you win all 4 major golf tournaments and such. And I know I said Rory's my favorite golfer, but the time is running out for him soon. Again, he is in his mid-30s. I do think he has quite a few more years left in him, but the golf talent is only going to continue to rise, and there are some really, really great golfers going now to compete in the tournament this year. So the thing that Rory needs to do to be able to have a shot at winning is he's going to have to be very consistent, and he's going to have to come out strong. He can't start from the bottom and sort of work his way up. He needs to have a really, really great day 1, a really, really great day 2, and on days 3 and 4, if he makes the cut, just trying to be as consistent as possible. He did miss the cut at last year's Masters, which I think will add kind of the fuel and fire for him to do better this year than last year, but we'll just have to wait and find out. And to close out this episode, I want to give my predictions for this week. I do think, so my prediction for the winner, and I'm sure it's probably most other people's picks at winning too, it is Scotty. Just because his game looks to be in really great shape right now, and he's staying consistent, and he knows his game. He knows his game well, and I think that with his caddy and with the way his mentality is right now, it's just going to be hard to stop him. Some of my sleeper picks, though, included Xander Schauffele, Sahith Theegala, Tommy Fleetwood, and Bryson DeChambeau, who's a live golfer like Brooks. I have them kind of as potential to maybe go out and win the tournament. I'd also be curious to see how young talent such as Ludwig Aberg and Akash Pahita do. Akash is 22. Ludwig came on last tour season in June as a rookie. He made it onto Team Europe's Ryder Cup team, where he played a major role in helping Team Europe bring back that Ryder Cup victory. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these young golfers do, if they'll finish high in the leaderboard or if they'll finish kind of in the middle of the pack. We'll have to be on the lookout for that. And like I stated, not just 2 minutes earlier prior, the race for that Grand Slam is starting to come to a close for Rory, and he needs this win now more than ever. And I really do hope that we see him win, not just because of my bias, but because it's been a long time coming for him. And I know how much it would mean for him to finally end that major drought over the past 10 years and put some of his critics and some of that media hypocrisy to rest too. Rory receives a lot more heat and backlash from the golf media than most other players just because he was kind of elected as the spokesperson when the whole PGA live thing was going on. So I think without the stress of having to worry about that anymore, combined with the fact that his game is starting to look a little bit closer to what we've seen before the whole drama thing started, if he again can just stay consistent and avoid making mistakes and getting into his head too much, we might see a really great outcome from him. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments who your picks are to finish on top of the leaderboard. Who are your top 5 favorite golfers that you think has a shot to win? As I said, Jon Rahm is the reigning champion so far to win in 2023. He could go back to back. I think I can't remember the last time someone won back to back Masters. It was probably Tiger Woods. I know Bubba won in 2012 and 2014. So he didn't necessarily win back to back, but he won and hit 2 out of his last the 3 starts that he made. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. But if there's any players you're looking forward to watching on Thursday, let me know that too. I know the Masters, like the pre-stuff leading up to the Masters, started today on a Monday and probably was live on TV. But you can check out the first round on Thursday morning. Just check local TV listings to see where you can find it. Again, it will be on the ESPN app, so you can go on there and kind of see the leaderboard too. But it is a really, really pretty golf course. I've never been there personally, but what I've seen through the TV and just pictures on social media, it does look really nice. And with that, this will be all for this episode, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.